even as time goes forward and things go forward now, the elephant that is taking up a little bit more space in the room that is comfortable for people is that there will still be approvals for money to be paid today, tomorrow, to pay back loans. And I'm still on that issue.
Yeah.
To pay back loans, which should have been for development, that we cannot attach a development project to, and the money has already been spent.
Right.
Should we not then be entering into a process whereby this accounting is being done and the questions are being asked? Because loans in the schedule are being paid, loans in the future are going to become due very quickly, and that money will be approved for expenditure by your office for those payments. But we're still saying we don't know where that money went.
Okay, I'll answer you. That one is actually very straightforward. The Auditor General is already on that.
Okay.
That is the role of the Auditor General now. Because the Auditor General needs to say, were these monies spent lawfully? Spent. Now we are on the spending side.
Yes.
So they'll go dive into the transaction documents and tell us, did this loan go to that project?
Yes.
And to what extent? Yeah? So what are we paying? So all those are there. Now, as far as public debt is concerned, and I also had the figures here, the revised figure for public debt for this ended financial year is 1.360.9 trillion, out of which I have approved withdrawals of 1.168.6 trillion.
For debt repayment?
Yes, for debt repayment. Now, if you compare the figure for public debt and the figure for recurrent, you will see that we have spent more on public debt than the whole recurrent expenditure for the government for the whole year.
Yes.
Yes. That is the truth. So we still have actually some invoices.
No, I would like to repeat that, please. Yes, we've spent more on paying debts than we are spending on what we need.
On all recurrent. Yes.
All.
Yes. Now, if you add recurrent and development to the MDAs only, without the counties.
What are MDAs?
Ministries, departments, and agencies.
National
so
government.
Those are ministries and all the other bodies below them.
All the other entities.
Yes.
That
yes. Yes. You know, each ministry has certain agencies that carry out their functions. So, all together, we have done 1.530 billion. That is what I have released. 1.530
trillion shillings.
Yes. And now on public debt, I said I have released 1.168 trillion. But that is short of what the budget was.
What was the budget?
The revised budget for public debt is 1.360 trillion. So we've only done 85%.
So even what
loans,
we were supposed to have paid in the loan for the loans that year,
yes.
we have not even paid.
We have not paid all of it.
So you're supposed to pay X amount to your bank this year, 100,000 shillings. You've only paid 80,000 shillings. You have a deficit of 20,000. What happens to that? It attracts penalties.
Yes, but okay. Sometimes what happens? There are loan lenders who send invoices late, and then there are some that have been restructured in a way. You know.
Yeah.
We asked for the repayment to be delayed a little, so the figures are not quite going to match. So for those that were restructured, there are certain countries that had given us a bit of leeway.
Yes.
So we were given a bit of time during COVID. So these ones may explain.
So we may not get that penalty.
Yes.
But
we have not really defaulted
we haven't.
in any of them.
Madam,
These are the...
Just looking at these figures again, when you talk about total recurrent expenditure,
Yes.
recurrent includes debt repayments.
No, the way we structure them here, we have what we call CFS, that is Consolidated Fund Services.
Okay.
Those services include public debt, pensions, salaries for state officers, and subscriptions to international organizations.
Okay.
So those are not part of the recurrent.
Okay.
But the recurrent alone is
the
there.
is the
separate.
1.53.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I have released finally for all the government people, both development and recurrent, 1.53.
Now here's the thing.
Yes.
Our recurrent should mostly be financed by our tax revenues.
Right.
Our tax revenues then should be, if I just look at this 1.53
Yeah.
and 1.168.
Let me give you the ordinary revenue that we have collected as of 30th June. We have collected 1.886 trillion.
Hey, wamejaribu.
They did 88% as of 30th June.
1.88 trillion.
Yes.
So this 698 trillion shillings should have been financed by the 1.886.
Yes.
What have we said?
But what has happened? Because that did not happen.
The money that we've raised in taxes is 1.886 trillion shillings. That is the money that should be paying our salaries, should be fueling our vehicles, paying for electricity, steamer, internet, chai,
Subscriptions to
subscriptions,
organizations.
blah, blah, and paying debt.
Yes.
We have collected 1.8.
on the debt.
We have spent over 2.6 trillion shillings on recurrent expenditure.
Yes.
So
what does that mean? Where did the other money come from?
Now, borrowing and other financing, we did 1.058 trillion. So this is both domestic and external for the year. Yes.
And that borrowing, which should have gone to development projects, essentially went to doing all these other things.
It had to, because there was a shortfall. I mean, these are figures, they don't lie.
Sure, the figures don't lie. But what
And the law
original
says-
intent was, or what the law requires that it be for, did not happen.
Now, for instance, I'll tell you this 1.058 trillion, our development is only 302
What?
billion. Yes.
Because the rest has gone
So-
into recurrent.
The rest has gone into public debt, repayment, and recurrent.
So then let me ask you. Last year's county revenue share was 370
Yeah.
billion shillings. Where did the money come from to take to counties? Because already we have exhausted, national level has already exhausted everything that we have raised in revenue by paying its salaries and paying debts. Are we saying that we also borrowed to send money to counties?
Yes, we did.
How much did we borrow?
Jehovah.
Jehovah is really the one to call.
Well, we must have. You know,
Yeah.
Because
we
where
are
else the
just
money
doing
come from?
arithmetic.
Figures
Yeah.
clearly are
Figures,
pointing
yeah.
us towards that.
Yeah.
So
The
if
numbers
we
don't
only
lie.
collected 1.886 billion
And you spent
Trillion.
2.6.
and we spent that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where did the balance come from? So you just have to add.
And you know there was money
subtract.
coming in from loans.
Yes.
Was there any other way in which money came in? No.
No.
So
Just
1 plus
those
1
were the two.
essentially equals 2.
Yeah.
In any way, that is a breach of the law.
Yesterday, I wrote to the National Treasury to give me a breakdown of the total revenue and how it was dispensed. This is my internal monitoring document.
Yeah.
This is OCOB. What I do is that every time I release I update this record. My officers update this. So on any one day, I have this. But now, I'm asking them now, give the figures to me.
The actuals
Yes,
of what
let
you
me
have
know.
dealt with.
Yes. How did we raise the money? How did we pay what we paid? So my letter went. I'll wait for a response.
Is it
And
a normal,
that will form part of my report for 30th June.
is it a normal process, this writing to ask so
Yes.
that they can explain?
Yes.
So you're merely going through the motions of what you do?
I am doing what I must do. First of all, I'm monitoring. And from the monitoring, now I'm asking them to account back to me so that I can report to Parliament.
Okay.
Yes.
Should you also have an updated version of the debt register? Does that come through your office?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay.
But I can ask if it is part of what I need to reconcile my figures. I can ask for it. But the Auditor General must get it.
Have that.
Yes. Now the Auditor General will be confirming to us, did we actually pay so much?
Yeah.
Yeah? And to whom
Did you actually
it go?
spend this money?
Yes.
Professionally, Dr. Nyakang'o.
Yeah.
Now I'm asking you as a professional, as a Kenyan who wanted to serve your country and applied for the job of auditor of controller of budget, and you've served 4 years so far. When such things emerge, what should happen, in your opinion?
Where? What should happen where?
In Kenya. So we are here where we are realizing, okay, now wait.
It is happening.
We have. So when it emerges, what should we do? Now we as Kenyans, sisi wananchi wadogo. What should we do? Should we just sit back and say tumeachia Mungu, we lift our hands up and say, okay, so there are numbers here. These numbers seem to have very many questions. Acha tungoje labda majibu itakuja.
Thank you, Eric. You know what I can tell you here is that I want to guide you to remind you of Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai was doing environmental protection, isn't it?
Yes, she was.
And she one day gave a very nice story. And she said, people always ask me what I'm doing. And just like the little hummingbird, I'll go to the water, I'll bring the drop of water, and I'll put out the fire. We all know that she ended up with a lot of influence. So, to answer your question, we cannot just sit around as wananchi and wonder. We have to say, what is my little bit? What is the little water that I can carry in my beak to put out the fire? What I can assure you is that I'm doing my bit. I'm carrying the little water, I'm putting out the fire. I'm ensuring that everybody is aware of what is happening in terms of budget. I have spread this message far and wide, and I'm using all forms of media to ensure that people know. What is the beauty of people knowing? When people know, they can hold the leaders to account. They can ask their representatives, what did you send you to do if these are the things that are happening? So for me, and I call myself the watchdog.
Yes.
What's the role of the watchdog? To back when the thief is seen. The watchdog tells the owner of the house, there is somebody, yes,
inside there with you.
There is somebody, we can see somebody coming in,
approaching,
and there is danger, it is approaching.
Kuja na panga ama na bunduki.
Bas, that is the control of budget. So you have to ask me, am I sending the message out? Am I ensuring that people know where we are? Does Parliament always get up-to-date reports of what is happening so that they can make informed decisions? I am very sure the answer is in the affirmative.
That they receive the necessary reports.
They receive them. I am preparing the necessary reports. At the right time, I'm ensuring that they have that information so that they can make informed decisions. That is the little water that I'm bringing to put out the fire. So you have to ask, what is the station doing? For instance, inviting me here to ensure that the message is out there so that we can hold the leaders to account. That is the bit we can do. We can't do everything, but there is our bit. So let each of us do their bit so that together the fire can be put out. Let's not just watch.
The body with, as I hear you, just correct me again, it's a good thing that we keep doing. The body with the greatest responsibility here is the legislature.
Yes.
That has a collective of peoples from across the country who've been elected to go and represent, legislate, and oversight. The National Assembly has the singular power of making budget. Much as you oversee the process, the ultimate decision is made in the National Assembly.
Correct.
The consumer of all your reports is the National Assembly. And they should use your reports to then help them in making the decisions in the next budget making cycle, in oversighting, in asking questions.
Both the National Assembly and the county assemblies.
The county assemblies
at the
as
county
well.
Level. Yes.
So when the right questions are not asked, we first start with the assemblies, the legislatures at national level and county level.
Right.
And asking them, so what happened?
Why are we
The
the
12th
Senate
Parliament,
out of this?
the legislature.
Okay.
So the 12th Parliament, in this particular case, for example, of the just concluded financial year and the others, have questions to answer. But those who are in the 12th Parliament, Dr. Nyakang'o, many of them are either in the current Parliament or in the current executive, in one way or the other. I do not see a light at the end of this tunnel unless we basically choose a different tunnel.
So what do you have in mind?
I have no, I'm lost. I'm just wondering, so now?
Eric is not even a hummingbird.
So now we just...
because we are not talking about things
I'm thinking,
that happen
let me just
between-
explain.
Yeah.
The Speaker is the chief legal advisor. The chairman of budget is now leader of majority. You know, one time. Members of budget are now leaders in parliament and members of budget again and members of finance. Consumers of Dr. Nyakang'o's office, people who are in the Public Accounts Committee are in county governments now, leading county governments, or in the same committees. Consumers of the Auditor General's reports.
And consumers,
if they could not understand those reports previously, or they understood and chose to ignore, do you expect anything different? City.
You know, this report, you know, as we've had just a synopsis of this report, and it is difficult to consume. So now digesting will be an even bigger problem. So when I look at what we call our elected leaders, and we look at what they have done with all manner of issues that we say pertain to the welfare of this nation, with regards to good governance, the conclusion you arrive at is not difficult to understand. However, there is a role that hasn't been played, and I think the good doctor has mentioned this. See, our constitution places the ultimate responsibility in everything that happens on us, ultimately.
Citizens.
Yes, it does. That's what it does. The we the people thing and so forth. That's what it actually does. But it looks like we the people like to kick this can down the road to our elected leaders and what have you. So the question is, when our elected leaders fail, then what do we do? And it is, we have the power. We are the ones who have the ultimate responsibility. So what are we doing with the responsibility? If we keep kicking the can down the roads and those who are kicking it to are kicking it back to us, and we keep kicking it back, then we are abrogating our duties. And so then, if we are to play the blame game, then who then do we blame beyond ourselves?
Start with number one. All sovereign power belongs to
The people.
the people.
Yes. And that power is being enhanced with a discussion such as this one, because we're saying, okay, just so that you understand the power, this is what's happening to you. This is what's going on in this space that we call our country, and the country which you have the sovereign power over. This is what's happening. So now that you've been informed about what's happening, so what do you think you should do?
Good question.
Because you've been informed, you've been told.
I don't think there's an absolute realization of the power and the extent of the power that rests in the hands of people. That when you hear things like this, you're not really sure, okay, just how far can I take this? What can I do? There has been questions that have been raised in terms of whom you can ask, how often you can talk about these things. Because, we can talk about the numbers, Dr. Nyakang'o. We can talk about the numbers. But do we realize just how far this is that we're talking about? Because what do we need to do to make it obvious in terms of how far-reaching the effects of having a hole in where these funds are coming and going, what kind of effect it has on the nation? So are we going to wait until the point whereby you see the direct effect between a hole being in your budget, money being paid out for something that you do not know where it went, and your children cannot go to school? Or that your roads are not being sorted out? Or that education is on its knees like we see it today? And when you make that connection is when you realize, hold on, you cannot be quiet.
Yeah.
You can't be quiet.
But the connection is slapping us in the face. All
Every
these things we
day, and that's
complain
what we're talking about now.
That's the connection.
Now, if Dr. Nyakang'o can tell us today that money was released in order for 1, 2, 3 to be done, we don't know if it was done. We don't know where it went.
The controller tells us money was she authorized
said,
money in accordance with the budget which had been prepared.
But we don't know where it went.
And then the Auditor General comes and says, actually, I have questions on where this money went. This is money diverted here, diverted here, diverted.
Now, Eric, in this same country, today, let's just take an example. 24 billion shillings was released for education. That money was taking care of term 1 and the deficit of term 3, 2022.
Yeah.
Term 2 has not finished being paid for.
True.
And there are billions, not billions, there are trillions in terms of payments that we do not know where they went. And you're looking for 4 billion to complete term 1 of 2023.
For our children to go to school. For our
children to go to school. If that doesn't get more real, I don't know what does.
It's not just figures.
It's a reality.
No.
It's not just numbers.
It's a reality.
No.
That today we are saying that counties cannot receive money for where people are working from 8 to whatever hour every day because Treasury has not released money because they do not have it. It's here. What needs to get more real for us to realize the effects of this thing, and then we can sit back and say, okay, well, maybe somebody will explain. No. When?
And when we say that the money maybe has gone elsewhere, in places that it was not supposed to go, it basically does not mean that it was into an ocean.
No.
It was swallowed by whales and sharks.
Individuals.
No. Actually, money doesn't go anywhere. People take money.
People take money.
Yes, so the individuals who are responsible must be singled out, and so and so you were in charge when this money, and you are the one who ensured this money went wherever it went. So kindly.
How many more examples do you want to give? Health. Let's give health as an example. Today. Okay, as in one, if you go today and there's something wrong with you and you seek diagnosis, right? Yeah. And you want a CT scan at the largest referral hospital in East Africa, Coco. You go today, July 6th, you will wait until November. You will wait until November because there are only so many machines. Not only that, there are only so many people who can man and operate those machines. Why? They will tell you it's a funding issue. Because we just don't have enough. There are people who die on the waiting line.
Yep.
There are people who have to now look for money to go outside the country to seek this medical care and attention.
Yep.
But those facilities exist. But they are not funded, they're not operationalized, they are not equipped with the proper infrastructure, because more often than not, what is the reason why you are told there's not adequate funding? But there are trillions that have gone to somewhere that we don't know where that money has gone. Actually, and there's no appetite for interrogation in terms of what has happened.
Actually, at the national level, do consider if indeed money is moved from development purposes and redirected to recurrent expenditure. What makes you think such diversions don't take place?
Even in the recurrent?
Yes, when we get now granular in the recurrent as to we have equipment XYZ, and we have them in numbers, but there are 10, but only 2 are in operation.
Okay, let me give you another example. Since we're on a roll, Dr. Nyakang'o, you can stop me when you think I've gone off. Pending bills are at 600 billion.
Yeah.
There are people who did work.
So we are told.
Yeah, so we are told.
Yeah.
There are people who did work at the county level. There are people who did work at the national level. These projects were established, and by the time you tender, they receive your documents, they said, go ahead and do the work.
It went through that process that Dr. Nyakang'o told us.
Has explained to us.
By the time you are budgeting, you started with the outcomes, outputs, the activities.
You started from the end and then came to the beginning.
All the way.
And said, okay, now that we have arrived at the beginning, you, Eric, go and do the work. Then somehow, by some magical thing, the work has been finished. Then we tell you,
Pesa. Kuna check na ngoja ive.
Just hold on a minute.
If Miss
has done a thing.
You'll hear if Miss.
Why? Where does the money go to? People have died, Dr. Nyakang'o. People have died. Now let's bring it home.
Because of the
people have died waiting for money to be paid for work that they did for government. They've gone into depression. They've paid loans because they took that money, waiting for government to pay them. Properties have been auctioned. Children did not go to school. They start terms out because father, mother were waiting for money to come from government, was not paid. That is the reality that we're talking about today. You want to bring it home? Those are the things we're talking about. Your children will not go to school. There will be no medicine on the shelves. People who are owed money by government will not be paid. They take their own lives. Mental state in this country goes through the roof. Those are the things that we're talking about. The silence helps nobody. If anything, it kills.
Actually, the situation will get worse because the silence, not better. Everything that you are saying will have a multiplication effect. Simply because those who are the sovereigns have decided to abrogate their duties and to substitute whatever duties they have with silence.
The citizens.
The citizens.
Dr. Nyakang'o.
Yes.
As the citizens, and we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Going forward,
yes,
what would you recommend? Again, you're a professional, you have served as a state officer, you've seen things that are happening,
yes,
and of course you've identified various gaps. You produce reports, they go to Parliament, and maybe Parliament does not act fast enough, or maybe Parliament does not follow up with your recommendations fast enough. What changes would you recommend, just top of your mind, in our laws to make sure that things happen as they should?
Okay. One thing that I can say right from the beginning is that information is power. Saying that is because even today, you will agree that after hearing a few things, you are better off knowledge-wise than you were before.
I'm more disturbed. That's how better off I am.
Okay. You are more disturbed than you were at the beginning.
Of the knowledge.
So we are saying that there is a change between how you were
this morning at 6 in the morning
and now.
Yes, there's a huge change.
Now, that is the change we need to be looking at and saying, what does the change make us do? Does it just make us angry? Or does it make us get up and do something? Is it a call to action? Now, if there is an action, what is your action? And I still repeat that all of us have to pull our weight. It's not enough just to be angry. And I have been seeing things for the 3.5 years that I've been in this office. And there are things I have done towards improving. I said, this bit is within my powers. Can I improve the record keeping? So that we are able to get information when we need it. So I started this monitoring document. I said, every time money goes out, can we update? This has been very useful. A lot of people come to me, some of them from the media, some of them from NGOs. They always come asking me for information. So I can with confidence give them up-to-date information, knowing that I have no fear of contradiction. So you have to say that is my bit. My bit is to avail the information. But then it doesn't end there. We are saying, what are the roles of the others? Have we informed the people? These people we are saying, the people who have the power. Do they have correct information? Not just information, because information sometimes can be distorted, can be here and there. And I've found very, very educated people who know nothing about what is happening in government. And it gets very sad. People don't watch news, people don't listen to
people
the radio.
Are not engaged.
They're just not engaged. Then you will find they're just quarreling, they're just angry. Now let me use Ndu as an example. The counties this year got 100% of their money, and it is here in my record. They got a whole 399.6 billion, which is comprised of 370 of the equitable share, and a balance of 29.6 billion carried forward from the previous financial year. Why is that important to us? Because if you are owed money at the county, there is no reason why
they shouldn't pay
Counties should not pay you.
They should not pay you. Even if the year is closed, what we have told them is that they must make pending bills a first charge in the new budget. So the moment they start implementing 23-24, the first payments they should be making are the pending bills. So there is a lot that we can do. All we need to see and say is, have I done my part? And have I done it really well? Because if each of us does their bit well, it will become now a cumulative, synergistic well. Now look at, like we said, our parliamentarians. They represent the people. And they always say, we are the power of the people. Can we put them to task? Can we ask them, how are they representing the people? But having said that, I'm not a politician. I'm here to give them information, and I'm happy to report to you that many of the senators have been coming to me for their county-specific reports, and I've been giving them, and they have been going back and putting the leaders to task. I have a few very good examples. Yes. About 6 senators who are really, really putting their people to task.
Are the county assemblies doing the same?
The county assemblies, I wouldn't say that. I have not seen anybody from the county assembly coming to ask me for information. But granted that then the senator is supposed to oversight. We expect that if the senator gets the right information and then sends the right questions to both the executive and the assembly, we should be home and dry.
The assembly cannot be excused.
But they cannot be excused. I have told you that I have about 6 senators only who have come for information. What is happening to 41 of them? They have never come. They don't even know what is happening in their counties.
Where your office is.
Some don't know where my office is. You are right. So if those who are supposed to oversight do not have the information, then who are we even to complain? Because those ones, they have been given, that's what they are paid to do.
Every day.
But they are not doing it.
Every day.
So please, just spread the message, Eric. What I can say, spread the message. And as media, because media is cross-cutting, call the senators randomly and ask them, what is happening in your county? What are the pending bills situation in your county? Let them tell you what is happening there.
We will ask them.
But the counties have all their money. So far, so good. We are happy. We don't know how this new financial year.
We don't know the source of the money, but at least they have the money.
At least they have the money. And at least they can pay their debts.
And they can pay debts.
Yes.
Dr. Margaret Nyakang'o.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.